Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine. Today I want to talk to you about how to read a sketch, and not just any sketch, but a card sketch. Scrapbook sketches and card sketches are very similar, but the card sketches, you can see, are just on a slightly different scale. And I will probably do a video on how to read a scrapbook sketch as well for those of you who would like to know. Just from all the live streaming I've been doing with all the scrapbook sketches, why not? And so as you can see, this is what a card sketch looks like. I'll bring it a little bit closer. I put my little notes on, kind of very similar to how I do when I have the scrapbook sketch as well. I'm going to hold this up because this one is an example of a scrapbook sketch. You can see how it's definitely more squared off, whereas the card is more rectangular. But basically, the thoughts on how to read a sketch are the same. So, essentially for a scrapbook sketch, your darker areas are your photos, your rectangles these are usually mats or your designer pages. And this one has quite a few layers. Now, as most of you know, I tend to be a little more frugal with my paper, so I didn't do quite this many layers. There's several different ways you can approach it. You can count this as this and then cut a couple of frames to go through it, but you'll see my approach in just a moment. And then, of course, when there's other shapes, it's usually embellishments or stickers. I'm going to actually create a sticker cluster in with our sentiment more towards the center. It's okay to move things around. You don't have to follow a sketch to the exact letter. That's why there's some creativity allowed in sketches. And then also a lot of times there are where there's for example here on this scrapbook sketch, this is for like a border or a border sticker or one of our laser cut embellishments. And I will go ahead and explain through more of that later. But let's go ahead and get started with the card that's in front of us. And I went ahead and pulled out one of our blank cards from our card kits. And this is the standard size. The standard size for cards are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I had some scraps from our Serene Waters collection, so that's what I'm going to be working with today. I really thought this orangey kind of base really popped, so that's what I'm going to use for my base. Now, could I have used this layered page as well? Of course, but then I probably wouldn't have needed any other layers, and I probably would have just stuck to the circle in the center here. So I would have taken out several other layers, and I could have just taken and put a circle in the middle and then added my stickers. But I did decide to go with a couple of layers of paper, mostly because I had the scraps. So this one is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave the sketch out. Usually I kind of bring it back in as we go, but with this one, because we're doing a card, it actually fits, so why not? I went ahead and cut a second sheet at 4 inches by 5 inches, and that's going to be my second layer here. And I just really liked how this mermaid scale, fishnet, whatever you want to call it, popped on the orange. And then I had this little scrap of fish, and it was originally a 4 by 4, but I went ahead and cut it down to 3 1/2 by 4 because I thought it also seemed to fit with the little fish getting caught in the net. Brings back some of our orange because some of our fish are orange. And I just thought that worked really well. And then you'll notice when I brought in my circle before, it also is the same fishnet or mermaid scale or whatever you want to call it that this underlaying sheet is. And that is going to go right in here. So you can see I did go ahead and stick with the circle. I could have left it without and just kind of said, well, this is our circle-y swirl, and you could have just left it at that. But I just decided to go ahead and cut the circle, and I'll show you why in just a moment. But I used our custom cutting system circles. I went ahead and took out my template guide, And I saw that with the blue blade on the inside track of the largest circle, it makes a 3-inch circle. And that fit just perfectly inside of our 3.5 by 4-inch scrap, basically, that I had. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside and go ahead and put our circle down here. And I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to have this running the opposite way, because since our fish are kind of going every direction, why not have our fish net going in different directions too? You can see where this one kind of is running more this way. This one's running more horizontally. And then I've gone ahead and picked out 3 stickers. I'm going to create a sticker cluster out of these 3. I'm going to grab out my foam squares. Surprise, surprise. For those of you who've watched me before, I don't use the foam squares every time, but for this one I am. Mostly because I want to pop up our sentiment, which is the serene waters, and I liked that it repeated our fish. Here we go. Try to get that to focus for y'all, but it repeats the fish in the swirl, and I just thought that was kind of fun. So I'm going to put 1 large foam square on, and that's going to go right in the center of our circle. And then I pulled out these 2 seashells that are also going to just give us an extra pop of color on our page, and these are going to come out underneath our other sticker from each side, so it almost kind of looks like it's a little fish of its own, sort of, with its own little flippers, but they're seashells, and I don't know. It's just a fun little sticker cluster. So that is it. We've got our 3-inch circle, our sticker cluster, and then my 3 rectangles, creating a really, really adorable card based on our sketch here. And I hope you all enjoyed learning how to read the sketch. And like I said, I will do one of these for a scrapbook sketch as well, because I hadn't realized that I hadn't really covered it until somebody asked me recently about it and how to read the card sketches. And I thought, you know, I've done so much with sketches and I haven't really talked to people about how to read them. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Until next time.